My parents invited me to a family dinner. You owe us for raising you, my mom smirked, handing me a bill. But when they showed me the $1.5 million luxury villa by the sea they expected me to buy, I laughed. Then I pulled out my own invoice. When they saw the total, their jaws dropped. Hey Reddit. I'm Evan, 35, a financial analyst, and I think I finally lost my last ounce of patience. My whole life, I've been second place in my own family. My younger sister, Sophia, was the golden child. She was obedient, perfect, and most importantly, she gave my mother everything she wanted. When Mom decided she wanted grandchildren, Sophia had them. Not because she wanted to be a mother, not because she was ready, but because Mom said it was time. So, like a good little soldier, Sophia followed orders. And me? I didn't follow the plan. I focused on my career. I didn't get married. I didn't have kids. And for that, I was a disappointment. But it was fine, right? As long as I paid for my place in the family, I was still useful. Last year, for Mom's birthday, she wanted jewelry. Not just any jewelry, custom-made, imported, four-figure price tag jewelry. I bought it. For Christmas, she hinted, demanded, that she wanted new tech. You know the kind. The kind where the price alone could fund a decent vacation. I bought it. Then it was new furniture for the house, but only from the stores where looking at the price tags gives you a minor stroke. I bought that too. And you might be wondering, Evan, don't your parents have their own money? Oh, they do. They just don't waste it on things like home essentials. No, their money goes to vacations, luxury cruises, all-inclusive resorts, Disney trips for the grandkids. They eat at the finest restaurants, wear designer brands, and act like royalty because, in their minds, they deserve it. So where do I fit into all this? Simple. I fund the boring things. The practical things. Because that's my role. Until last night. I got a text from my mother earlier this week. Mom, family dinner this Saturday. 7 p.m. Be on time. No, can you come? No hope to see you. Just an order. As always. I already knew how it would go. Mom, sitting at the head of the table like a queen, controlling the conversation. Dad, silent, nodding along like the obedient husband he's always been. Sophia, smiling sweetly, pretending she isn't the biggest suck-up on the planet. And me? I just sit there and wait for whatever favor they were about to demand. I should have skipped it. I really should have. Dinner was exactly as expected. Fancy table settings. The expensive wine. The kind of meal that looks like it came out of a Michelin star restaurant. Sophia was already there, dressed like she was about to give a TED talk on how to be the perfect daughter. Dad sat across from her, idly swirling his drink. And then there was Mom, watching me, waiting. So, Evan, she said, slicing into her steak with slow precision. How's work? I shrugged. Good. She smiled. Wonderful. A pause. We were actually talking about something exciting before you arrived. I stabbed a piece of food with my fork, waiting. Sophia, right on cue, perked up. A vacation home. Can you imagine it? A beautiful villa, big enough for all of us. The kids would love it. A villa. I repeated, already feeling my patience slip. Mom nodded. It just makes sense. We need a place for family gatherings. Somewhere grand. A symbol of our family's success. I set my fork down. And you want me to buy it? Dad finally spoke, his voice low. It's an investment in the family. Ah, there it was. Investment in the family. The same phrase they'd used every time they needed something expensive that they didn't want to pay for themselves. How much are we talking? I asked, even though I already knew the answer would make me sick. Sophia smiled like she had personally handpicked the scam of the century. Well, we found a few options. But something decent would be around $1.5 million. I let out a short, humorless laugh. $1.5 million. You think I'm going to spend $1.5 million on a house for you? Mom exhaled, looking at me like I was so exhausting. Evan, we raised you. We've given you everything. The least you could do is give back. I stared at her. Everything. She nodded. Did you pay for my college? Silence. Did you help me buy my first car? Mom's jaw tightened. Did you support me while I was working my way up from nothing? I leaned forward. No. You spent all your money on Sophia. She got the free ride. She got the endless support. I got to be your personal bank account. Sophia frowned. Evan, you're being so dramatic. Dramatic? I laughed. You think I don't see what's happening? You two blow through money like it's nothing, but when it comes to practical expenses, suddenly it's Evan will pay. Because I'm the responsible one. Because I don't have kids to spend it on. Because you think I owe you. Mom's face darkened. That's enough. No, I said, my voice steady. It's not. Because I want to make something very clear. I pushed my chair back and stood. I am not buying you a villa. I am not funding your lifestyle. I am done being your backup plan. Sophia's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Evan, you don't mean that. Oh, I do, I said, grabbing my coat. And if you don't believe me, go ahead. I gestured between them. Send me a bill for my upbringing. Go ahead, put interest on it. I'd love to see the final number. But while you're at it, let's add up all the money you've drained from me over the years. Dad shifted uncomfortably, but predictably said nothing. Mom's voice was ice. You're being selfish. I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman who had spent her entire life in control, who had been everyone to her will, who had never once heard the word no. No, I said quietly. For the first time in my life, I'm finally not. And then I walked out. I expected anger. I expected a barrage of texts, missed calls, threats, guilt-tripping. But you know what? Reddit? For the first time in years, I didn't care. I felt free. I didn't expect to feel relief after walking out of that family dinner. I thought I'd feel powerful, victorious, like I had finally taken back control of my life. Instead, I felt something else. Rage. Not at them. At myself. Because how did I let this go on for so long? Looking back, I should have seen the pattern. My mother, a former government official, spent her entire career commanding people, making decisions, and ensuring everyone around her bent to her will. And at home? It was no different. She didn't ask. She dictated. My father? He was just there. A quiet, obedient husband who had spent decades nodding along to whatever she wanted. He wasn't cruel. He wasn't warm. He was just a man who never argued, never resisted. And my sister, Sophia? She learned early on that obedience was rewarded. She followed the script, played the role of the perfect daughter, and in return, she got everything. I didn't follow the script. And for that, I was punished. Not with yelling, not with outright rejection, but with silence. With the kind of cold indifference that makes a child desperate for approval. When Sophia needed tuition, my parents covered it. When I needed tuition, I took out loans. When Sophia wanted a car, they handed her the keys. When I wanted a car, I worked 2 jobs to afford a used one. When Sophia got married, they threw her a dream wedding. When I built my life on my own terms, they barely acknowledged it. And I told myself it didn't matter, that I didn't need their validation, that I was fine, until I realized I wasn't. Somewhere along the way, I became their backup plan. At first, it was small things. Evan, your sister is expecting. Can you help by the baby crib? Evan, our kitchen needs remodeling. You wouldn't want Sophia to cook in an old, ugly space, right? Evan, the TV broke. A home isn't a home without a proper entertainment system. And like in Fool, I agreed. Every time. Last year alone, Mom asked for expensive jewelry, gadgets, and furniture, always expecting me to foot the bill. And before you ask, don't my parents have their own money? Oh, they do. They just don't waste it on things like furniture or home essentials. Their money is for luxury vacations. Business class flights, 5-star hotels, Disneyland trips for the grandkids, Michelin star restaurants, designer clothes, because they deserve it. So where do I come in? I fund the practical, boring things. The things they could afford but won't pay for. Because that's my role. And the worst part? I let it happen. I told myself it was just this once. Then just until they're back on their feet. Then just because I can afford it. And suddenly, I was their personal ATM. That night, after walking out of the family dinner, I sat alone in my apartment, staring at the wall, replaying every time I had said yes when I should have said no. I had been so afraid of being the bad son, the selfish brother, the ungrateful child. But now, I was ready to be selfish. Now, I was ready to see what happened when I finally stopped giving. And something told me my family was not going to handle it well. You ever have one of those moments where everything just clicks? Where years of manipulation, guilt-tripping, and blind loyalty come crashing down, and you finally see the truth for what it is. That moment hit me like a freight train. And it happened right in the middle of my parents' dining room, with my mother calling me a burden while demanding I buy her absurd villa. Let's rewind a bit. After that dinner, I spent a week thinking about every sacrifice I had made for my family, about how every time they wanted something expensive, furniture, jewelry, the latest tech, I had been the one footing the bill, while they blew their own money on luxury vacations and 5-star dinners, and about how they expected me to buy them a $1 5 million villa like it was some casual weekend errand. I was furious, but I wasn't done yet. So, I did something I'd never done before. I went through every financial transaction, every loan, every dollar I had ever given them. And what I found made my blood run cold. It wasn't just the birthday gifts, the holiday expenses, or the occasional help your sister handouts. No, it was years of them siphoning money from me. I found old loans I had given them that were never repaid. I found credit card charges that mysteriously appeared in my name, expenses I hadn't made. And the worst part? I found legal documents. Specifically, inheritance papers from my grandfather. I had always been told that his estate had been small, that most of it had been used to cover medical bills. But guess what? That was a lie. He had left behind a significant amount, enough to put a serious dent in my student loans at the time. Enough that half should have legally gone to me. Instead, my parents had taken it all. For Sophia's education. For Sophia's wedding. For Sophia's perfect, comfortable life. And I had never even known. I didn't call them. I didn't text. I walked straight into their house unannounced. My father was in his usual chair, reading some finance magazine like he had ever made a financial decision in his life. My mother sat at the dining table, sipping expensive imported tea. Sophia was there too, smiling like she had already won some invisible war. "Ah, Evan," Mom said, setting her cup down. "So, have you come to your senses?" I dropped the printed copies of the financial records onto the table. She barely glanced at them. "What's this supposed to be?" I crossed my arms. "Proof. Proof that you've been stealing from me for years." Sophia actually laughed. "Evan, don't be ridiculous. No one stole from you." I turned to my father. "Did Granddad leave me half of his estate?" He didn't answer. He just looked at Mom. And that told me everything I needed to know. My stomach churned. "So it's true." Mom finally sighed, rolling her eyes. "Evan, honestly, do you really think you needed that money? You had a good job. You were fine." "Sophia, needed it more?" I snapped. Sophia scoffed. "You always act like such a victim." I ignored her. "And the credit cards? The fake loans that were never paid back? What's your excuse for those?" Mom waved a dismissive hand. "You're being dramatic. You wanted to help your family." I felt something inside me snap. "You mean I didn't argue hard enough while you manipulated me?" I said, my voice like steel. Mom's expression darkened. "Watch your tone." "No," I said. "You don't control me anymore." She stood up, slamming her hands on the table. "Excuse me." "You heard me," I said. "I'm not buying you a villa. I'm not giving you another cent. And I'm certainly not going to keep pretending that this is a normal, loving family." The silence was thick. Then Mom exploded. "You're so ungrateful," she shouted. "After everything we've done for you. We raised you, fed you, clothed you, and this is how you repay us." I laughed, an actual hollow laugh. "You stole my inheritance. You spent my money like it was your personal piggy bank. And you expect me to feel guilty. You've always been a burden," she screamed. "You don't have a wife, you don't have kids, you don't have a real family. At least Sophia contributes something meaningful. You're just..." She took a breath, eyes blazing. Then she spat the words that ended everything. "Be thankful we're not sending you a bill for raising you." Sophia smirked. My father stayed silent. And that was it. I felt the last shred of my loyalty to them die in that moment. I leaned forward, placed my hands on the table, and looked my mother dead in the eyes. "Send the bill," I said, voice calm. "Go ahead. Itemize the cost of raising me. You know what? Charge me interest." I grabbed the financial records off the table and turned to leave. "But while you're at it," I added, "calculate every dollar you stole from me. Every cent you guilt-tripped out of me. Every expense you pushed onto me while you spent your own money on vacations and luxury nonsense." Mom was shaking with rage. "You walk out that door, and you're dead to this family." I turned back one last time. "I've been dead to you for years," I said. "You just like the money too much to admit it." Then I walked out. And this time, I wasn't coming back. When I walked out of that house, I expected two things. A flood of angry texts and calls trying to manipulate me back into the fold. For them to act like I never existed and pretend they didn't need me. What I didn't expect was for them to completely panic. Because for the first time in their lives, they realized something terrifying. I wasn't bluffing. The first few days were silent. Not a single call or message. I thought maybe they decided to just cut me off and move on. Fine by me. But then I got an email. Subject: reconsider your actions. It was from my mother. Of course. "Evan, I don't know what nonsense has gotten into your head, but this behavior is unacceptable. You're being selfish and cruel to your own family. We've always supported you, and we deserve some gratitude in return. Let's be adults about this. Come home this weekend so we can work this out. I deleted it. Then came the text from Sophia. Sophia, Mom is heartbroken. She can't believe you'd treat her like this. Sophia, seriously, what's wrong with you? You're acting crazy. Sophia, fine. Be an inconsiderate person. But don't come crying back when you realize you need us. Need them? That was funny. But the real fun began when I went back to my lawyer. A few weeks before, when I first started digging into my finances, I had met with a lawyer to go over my options. Now, with the inheritance documents, credit card fraud, and years of unpaid loans, I had everything I needed. I want my money back, I told him. He smiled. Then let's take them to court. The legal notice was sent the next week. My parents were forced to acknowledge that I wasn't just throwing a tantrum, I was serious. I was suing them. And let me tell you, Reddit, when my mother realized she might actually lose, she lost her mind. She showed up at my apartment, unannounced. I opened the door to see her standing there, her face red with fury. My father was behind her, looking not angry, just defeated. Are you really doing this? She hissed. I folded my arms. I sure am. Your own mother, Evan, she snapped. Do you have any idea what you're doing? I do, I said. I'm making sure you never steal from me again. She laughed, this bitter, mocking sound. Oh, please. What did we ever steal from you? I pulled out the folder from my lawyer. Let's see. My inheritance? You took all of it and spent it on Sophia. My money? You manipulated me into paying for everything while you lived like royalty. Credit card fraud? Want me to show you the charges? She waved a hand. We are your parents. We don't owe you anything. I raised an eyebrow. Funny. That's exactly how I feel about you. My father, for once, spoke up. His voice was quiet. Evan, is this really necessary? I looked him dead in the eyes. You could have stopped her at any point. You didn't. He looked away. I turned back to my mother. You want to know what's really funny? You said I should be grateful you didn't bill me for my upbringing. Her eyes narrowed. I smirked. Maybe I should send you a bill for every dollar you've taken from me. And then I shut the door in her face. The lawsuit dragged on for months. At first, my mother thought she could intimidate me into backing down. Then she thought she could manipulate me. Then she realized she was going to lose. My lawyer was ruthless. They were forced to pay back every cent of my inheritance. They had to cover all the fraudulent credit charges. The money they took under the guise of loans? Gone. And because the evidence of fraud was so damning, the judge made them sell their house to cover what they owed. And just like that, their perfect little life crumbled. Sophia, of course, lost it. Sophia, how could you do this to Mom and Dad? Sophia, they're being forced to sell the house. Sophia, I hope you're happy, you awful person. I never responded. Because, you see, Sophia had never lived a day without our parents' financial support. And now? She was about to find out what that felt like. My parents moved into a much smaller place. Sophia stopped posting her perfect life on social media. And me? For the first time in my life, I was completely free. You'd think that after losing a lawsuit, a house, and most of their savings, my parents would finally accept reality. That they'd realize I wasn't their personal ATM anymore. That I wasn't coming back. But you don't control people for decades and just let them go so easily. My mother wasn't done yet. It had been a few months since the court case ended. I hadn't heard from them. Not a single text, call, or email. And then, one afternoon, I got a voicemail. It was my father. Evan, your mother wants to talk. She's not well. Please, just call her. I stared at my phone. I could already see the trap. But part of me, I don't know. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was years of conditioning telling me that I still owed them something. So I called. Mom picked up immediately. Evan, she said, voice frail. Oh, Evan, I didn't think you'd call. She sounded different. Weak. Emotional. Like she was on her deathbed. I said nothing, waiting. She sniffled. I don't want things to end this way. I don't want our family to be broken. You're my son, Evan. No matter what's happened, I still love you. I exhaled slowly. What do you want? She let out a soft sob. I just want to see you. Please. Just once. I knew exactly what this was. A guilt trip. A desperate last-ditch effort to pull me back in. And I almost fell for it. But then I remembered. I remembered how she had called me a burden. I remembered how she had tried to manipulate me into buying a $1.5 million villa. I remembered how she had stolen my inheritance, guilt-tripped me for years, and laughed in my face when I finally stood up for myself. I remembered who she really was. So I said, no. Silence. Then her voice turned sharp. No. No. I repeated. You don't want to fix our family. You want your punching bag back. You want your free money back. But guess what? That's over. Her tone changed instantly. The weak, apologetic voice disappeared. And the real her came out. You're a terrible son, she spat. You think you've won? You think you're better than us? Let me tell you something, Evan, family is all you have in this world. One day, you'll be alone, and you'll regret this. You'll come crawling back, and do you know what? We won't be there. I smiled. That's the best news I've heard all day. And then? I hung up. And this time, I blocked her number for good. Sophia tried reaching out next. Sophia, you've really lost it, huh? Mom is heartbroken. Dad is a mess. You happy now? Sophia, I always knew you were selfish, but this is another level. Sophia, enjoy your freedom. Hope it's worth destroying your own family over. I didn't respond. Because for the first time in my life, I didn't owe them a response. A few weeks later, I got a message from an unexpected person. My dad. I almost ignored it, but something told me to read it. Dad, I know you don't want to hear from me. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. I should have stopped her years ago. I didn't, and I'll have to live with that. But I want you to know, I do love you. I just didn't know how to show it. I stared at the message for a long time. Maybe he meant it. Maybe he didn't. But it didn't matter. Because I was done carrying the weight of this family. I woke up the next morning feeling lighter than I had in years. No guilt. No obligations. For the first time in my life, I was completely free. And let me tell you, Redditor, it was worth every penny.